Three, two, one. Hi there, and welcome to another training video from K-Talk. This one's called Providing Pastoral Care to Neurodivergent Individuals. My name is Karen Burgoyne, and I'll be taking you through the training today. So let's get on with the presentation. The topics of discussion in this video are an introduction of myself, what is pastoral care, how I was provided pastoral care in my life and spiritual journey. Then I'll be providing some simple strategies for pastoral care for families and with those with neurodiverse backgrounds, and then my contact details. So let me introduce myself. I was diagnosed at the age of 30 with what was known back then in the late 90s with Asperger's syndrome. I'm now nearly 58. Prior to that, nothing was known back in the 70s, 80s, or even early 90s when I was young, when I was a child or teenager. I went round not knowing what I had, and I struggled to understand how I hurt other people. The diagnosis also helped me to understand why I behaved the way I did. The lack of expectations and acceptance of me wasn't fair, and I was always the problem that nobody wanted to have anything to do with or be around in the long run. Now, when I was diagnosed, I felt good and I felt bad. But due to the lack of comprehension impairment that I had back then, I could only say that it was good and it was bad. And my mum and the psychologist had to ask me so many questions about why I felt good and why I felt bad. The good part of it was that I had the diagnosis, and I now could focus on and learn more about myself as an autistic individual or adult back then. But also the bad bits were that I unintentionally said things that I didn't mean to say, but I couldn't control my autism back then to think about and speak in the correct behavior or conversation that I was having with the other person. So I was feeling very regretful, really angry, really upset. So I made a choice to correct those situations with some people, and that was accepted. And other people didn't want that. I had to move on. But I was sad that I had lost those people in my life. But then I was only being used and abused for my technical ability and um, one-sided relationships back then. So I had to learn about moving on. But let's move on with the presentation anyway. So how did I receive pastoral care through my own journey? When someone took me aside and wanted to get to know me, I was like a spillway on a dam. My reservoir was full to the brim, and I needed to release all the water that I'd held up inside of me. When I'd had that pastoral care with someone, that's when all the tears started flowing. The dam walls erupted, boom, the gates opened wide, and the water rushed out from the dam into the rivers and creeks below it. There were great floods of emotions as I started to regurgitate or vomit up all of the hurt, devastation, unbeliefs, sins that I had committed, people's words and actions of blame against me that was not my fault, and my childhood life that I once lived that I wanted repentance from. It was like the waterfall that from hell that gushed 100 miles an hour. The dirty, filthy rubbish pouring out deep from my soul that I needed to rid myself of before I became Christ-like and the calmer, caring, kind, empathetic, and positive person that I am now today. Now it's a river of crystal clear water that's visible for everyone to see any time they want. I was given pastoral care in the churches that I attended, but then it became so rare to me over time. I, in turn, ended up giving more pastoral care to others than what I received, as it was always a one-way street and one-way relationships, which I didn't quite understand back then. In my current parish, I enjoy the care and prayers that I receive from others, especially in my life group that I belong to and are a big part of every week. So, what is pastoral care? Pastoral care is the provision of emotional, spiritual, and religious support, often in settings like hospitals, schools, and workplaces. It could also be in your own home or in churches that you attend. It is a non judgmental and people centered practice that focuses on the well being of individuals, providing comfort, guidance, and a safe space to discuss worries and hopes during vulnerable times. While it has its traditional roots, modern pastoral care is inclusive and respectful of diverse beliefs and is often provided alongside other professions like counsellors and social workers. The three R's of pastoral care are relationship, respect, and responsibility. It is a practice that speaks to our shared human need for care, empathy, and understanding. Key aspects of pastoral care: emotional and spiritual support that provides comfort, reassurance, and a space to explore personal values, emotions, and existential concerns. Non judgmental approach offers support that is respectful of all beliefs, faiths, or lack thereof, without proselytizing. Inclusive practices are often non-denominational, and the role is found in various settings such as hospitals, schools, and workplaces. Focuses on well-being, aims to support the physical, social, intellectual, emotional, and spiritual development of all individuals. Beyond traditional roots, modern pastoral care has evolved beyond its religious origins to become a more inclusive and flexible practice that helps people navigate life's challenges. Here's some simple strategies for providing pastoral care for families and for those with neurodiverse backgrounds. To provide effective pastoral care for neurodivergent individuals in churches, it's essential to increase awareness and acknowledge individual needs, adapt your worship and fellowship environments for sensory and communication differences, and foster inclusive community through active supporting and training. This includes creating sensory friendly spaces, simplifying building layouts, training volunteers to avoid unwanted touch, and using clear, consistent communication, while also actively including neurodivergent members in church activities and leadership. Offer training. Provide training for clergy, staff, and all volunteers on neurodiversity to build a more informed, welcoming community. Create sensory friendly spaces. Designate quiet rooms where people can go if they feel overwhelmed, and consider sensory friendly services or designated areas with fewer sensory stimuli. Understand their needs. Take time to understand each person's specific needs and preferences. Ask simple, straightforward, direct questions to the individual. Wait for them to process the answer to give it to you. Now, it may not be straight away. It might take a few days. If they're not able to give you a straight, direct answer right there and then on the spot, Why not send them an email or text in a very simple format or way about the questions that you want to ask them and have them repeat them to you or to clarify them to you? If this suits the individual person, keep up the conversations going with them this way if it works with them. Be patient. Allow extra time for processing verbal information into picture format in some cases or instances, and avoid rushing the conversation with them. Otherwise, you're going to lose them. Communicate effectively. Respect individual communication styles. Some people may prefer typing responses on a phone or computer, and eye contact is not a reliable indicator of listening. Empowerment. Actively seek out and incorporate the voices and perspectives of neurodivergent individuals when making decisions about community practices. Spiritual care. For those with a spiritual component to their care, be open to alternative forms of expression and worship, such as gently worded prayers and other rituals that create a sense of security and ease anxieties. Be flexible with environmental changes if a member has a sensory sensitivity. Modify your worship style. Incorporate visual aids. Repeat certain phrases or hymns to provide stability and predictability, and offer alternative activities like drawing or colouring stations. Train and inform volunteers. Train greeters and ushers to be sensitive to specific needs, such as avoiding physical touch like hugs if a person is not comfortable with it. Focus on well-being. Aims to support the physical, social, intellectual, emotional, and spiritual development of individuals. Collaborative role. Work alongside other professionals such as social workers, psychologists, psychotherapists, psychiatrists, or counselors, and family members to support the overall well-being of individuals. Person-centered approach. Recognize that neurodivergence is a spectrum and no two individuals are the same. Ask the person about their specific needs and preferences rather than just making assumptions. Active listening and empathy. Develop a trusting relationship by compassionately listening to their experiences, validating their feelings, and avoiding judgment of outward expressions of faith, e.g., fidgeting is not a sign of disrespect. Flexibility and patience. Be willing to adapt traditional ministry practices. Understand that neurodivergent individuals may need a quiet space to recover from social, information, or sensory overload, or may need to leave early from the church environment because they've had enough. Biblical foundation. Emphasize that neurodivergent individuals are valued members of the body of Christ, each with unique God-given gifts. 1 Corinthians 12, verses 12 to 27. The goal is not conformity to neurotypical standards, but fostering a place of belonging. Offer support groups to parents and caregivers of neurodivergent individuals. By implementing these strategies, faith communities can create an environment where neurodivergent people feel seen, are valued, and are able to participate fully in the life and ministry of the community or church parish. Empower neurodivergent individuals to serve in roles that align with their strengths, such as technology support or organisation. So here I'm demonstrating the sound desk and the live streaming desk. These are two of the ministries that I serve in the church parish that I currently attend. Now, if it wasn't for me doing sound, the musicians wouldn't be able to provide the worship and the songs to the whole congregation. The congregation could not sing and worship God because they hear no sound. There wouldn't be any sound for the vicar to make announcements. There wouldn't be sound for her or him to give out their sermon. And if we didn't have a live streaming desk, for those who are unable to come to the church regularly on a regular basis, they can actually watch this online. Something like we did in COVID times when we were on Zoom and we had our services going via Zoom, and we attended church that way for quite a while. And we were having meetings online with different people via Teams or Zoom. This live streaming desk offers people an opportunity to watch the sermon or to watch the service or to watch a funeral or whatever else we publish or are productive in, to allow them to join in the service if they are elderly or they're sick or they are disabled in some way and they're unable to make it to our church service. This is my role that I've been doing for the last 10 years, more than 10 years actually, and this is something that I love to do because I'm into technology. And I'm so very proud that God's given me these gifts that I can provide or use to fulfill not only His glory, but to serve in the ministry that I'm doing at church. But it's also a God-given gift that I never was told that I would have. I was told that I was always useless and that I could never learn, but this was always something that I wanted to do. And now I've had that opportunity to do that at my current church parish. For more information about myself and my business, and if you would like me to develop a training package for your individual church or parish, then please don't hesitate to contact me on these details displayed in this slide. I would be more than happy to assist you. Thanks for watching. I trust you've enjoyed this video and have learned much from it, providing pastoral care to neurodivergent individuals within your church or parish or in the greater or wider community. If you like what you saw, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to this YouTube channel here. I'll look forward to seeing you in the next one.